Okay, good morning, everyone. On behalf of Servium, welcome to the next in our series of INOOT webinars. I need one of those. This is where we really focus on some of the leading sort of technologies, emerging technologies, vendors to watch, trends in the marketplace, disruptive technology, those sort of things that we believe that can deliver a sort of competitive edge to our customers. So thank you for taking the time up. Hopefully everyone who's registered has received their Kit Kat. So put your feet up, grab a coffee and enjoy the next sort of 20, 30 minutes. We'll be able to do questions at the end. So please feel free when we're finished to put any questions to myself and colleagues. So today, it's all about a disruptive technology, something emerging in the marketplace, all around SD-WAN. And our partners who join us today, one of our ecosystem partners is Russell Crowley from Principal Networks. Morning, Russell.
Morning, Steve.
Morning.
Morning, everyone.
So thanks for joining us today, Russell, and look forward to some really interesting insights into SD-WAN. So we can say questions at the end, and hopefully everyone will enjoy the session this morning. So a little bit of background on Servium and who we are, because we do have some customers that have dealt with us a long time joining us today, some more recent customers. So really, Servium is all about providing essential IT, leading edge, vendor agnostic approach. We put you at the center of everything everything we do. The customer is really important to us. And this is what we call our Servium pathway. This is how we help you decide what is the best technology, the best vendor in the marketplace. And we do that by adding a lot of value. We have a great account management team, a number have joined us today. And we have, I think you'll demonstrate today the breadth and depth of our ecosystem where we add value around that technology. But ultimately, you give us a business challenge, we're there to take those sort of pains away. But we want to walk in your shoes. So as I mentioned, through the Servium pathway, we want to understand however large, however small your challenge is, working with you on the strategy, the design, the implementation, and then the support. But more importantly to us is, let's review what we've done at the end of that process to make sure it's delivered to your expectations within timescales, budget, and so on and so forth. And Russell is part of our services ecosystem, one of our partners that we work very, very closely with. And you, as customers, have access to that ecosystem. You can tap into it, and hopefully by the end of the day, you'll see some of the value and the benefit that can deliver. So today, of the different technology areas that we focus on around compute, sort of end user computing data, sort of data center, networking, security, and workspace, we're focusing very much today on the network because that's what SD-WAN is all about. So a little bit of background on Servium and how that sort of fits today. So I'll now hand over to you, Russell. You're our subject matter expert today. I'll let you sort of enlighten our audience.
Great stuff. Many thanks, Steve. Hello, everyone. So yeah, I just wanted to thank Servium for providing this platform, obviously, to share our knowledge and thoughts. Quick intro on Principal Networks. So as a management team, we've been in the industry for over 10 years now, delivering enterprise networks and supporting and designing those for our mid-enterprise clients. But Principal Networks is a new vehicle for us fundamentally, which is purely based on the design, implementation, and co-managed support around next generation software-defined networks. And like Servium, we adopt a vendor agnostic approach and provide objective, unbiased advice to our customers to ultimately present as much value back as we possibly can. So today, obviously, well, the other thing as well is, I'm sure you can all pick up, is that I'm based in Yorkshire. I do have a Yorkshire accent. I was born with it. I can't get rid of it. So if anyone needs any translations at the end, I'm sure Steve can do that.
I'll do my best to that. Yeah.
The Yorkshire dialect. Cool. So I'm just going to take people today. This is pitched at a very high level, and it's based around, what is SD-WAN? What is a traditional network versus a software-defined network? What are the key benefits of SD-WAN and what does that deliver? We'll talk through some typical deployment methods, some key market facts that kind of validate where SD-WAN's heading as a technology. Talk through some common misconceptions and some considerations when choosing your SD-WAN solution. So, what is an SD-WAN? So this is from Gartner, a definition from Gartner, which I'm not going to read through it all. But fundamentally, the key bits that I wanted to pick out is this is a replacement for traditional wide area networks, allowing us and allowing businesses to build higher performance wide area networks using software-defined technology. And I'm going to talk through how we do that during the presentation. Bit of nostalgia here. For those of you that don't know, this is the Cisco AGS in the background, which is the first Cisco router ever developed in 1986, the first routed switch. And what are we replacing here? So a lot of you guys will recognize this. This is a traditional basic wide area network, a fully managed MPLS network. Obviously there are variations to this, but in a general speak, this is what a fully managed MPLS network would look like. Typically what you find with a traditional wide area network is static configurations. They're typically quite slow to deploy. They're difficult to change and manage, not particularly intelligent to the applications that are running over those networks. And from 2018 onwards and today, they are becoming extinct. They're becoming, they don't really represent good value in the market. And fundamentally what you have with an MPLS network is, service providers have these legacy investments in their own MPLS core networks. And fundamentally, they are a single point of failure. So what we can, customers can experience planned or unplanned maintenance or problems at a local point of presence, which can affect multiple, or in some cases, all parts of the network. In a traditional one, we also find we get wasted bandwidth. So in most scenarios, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of and have today, is this notion of a primary circuit is, delivers the traffic with a backup circuit that stands there and is redundant, fundamentally wasting all of the available bandwidth that we've got for the applications. Traditionally, we have a lack of intelligence over that wide area network. So, when a network is up, it's passing traffic, happy days. However, when we do start to experience application slowness and application degradation, which hasn't necessarily resulted in a line failure, we call this a brownout, which is, that's a technical term, which is an unexpected drop in performance causing intermittent packet loss. Fundamentally, what you find is, users complaining the network's running slow. We don't know why. And in that scenario where there isn't a hard down fault, but we are experiencing application fault and packet loss, a traditional MPLS network will not pass that traffic onto the backup link. And that's an image that I'm sure resonates with a few of you users and yourselves trying to understand, what's going on with our network and why our application's running slowly. We also find lots of complexities in an MPLS network. So, these days people are wanting to move to public cloud, roll out voice and video, introduce, more people are getting, introducing remote working now to the office space, downsizing their real estate. But how do we do that in an MPLS network? It's not as easy as it should be fundamentally. And then when we do want to roll out an application, we need to make changes to those configurations, such as QoS policies across the network. That's a manual process of someone logging onto the routers, which costs time. It takes time and costs money for someone to actually deliver that. Again, it shouldn't be that way. These processes should be automated. So how does that compare to an SD-WAN? Fundamentally, SD-WAN changes the game and overcomes all of these challenges. It's more secure. So I will talk about the fact that all SD-WAN vendors are different, but predominantly a lot of SD-WAN vendor technologies and next generation firewalls out of the box, encrypting traffic end to end to deliver a more secure environment for your business. We get more control throughout the network with centralized management and a click of a button. Policy changes can be made wholesale throughout that network rather than manual static changes that are slow and costly. We get better visibility of application traffic over the network. So if our applications do start to suffer, we can actually understand why and do something about it. We get more flexibility with an SD-WAN. So we don't have to have this scenario where we've got a fully managed MPLS network and we're dictated to by the carriers. You know, we can choose our own bandwidth, and that might be multiple internet circuit service providers. That might be multiple MPLS service providers with an SD-WAN overlay over the top of them. And it gives us more flexibility when we're setting up new offices. So if we want to quickly deliver, you know, a new site, but we want all the same policies for that site, we can do that. You know, we can spin up a 4G LTE service whilst we wait for, you know, the slower fiber service to be delivered. All of it just making it a lot more easier and slicker. From a performance perspective, we talked earlier about having this active-passive scenario for bandwidth, but in an SD-WAN scenario, you know, all bandwidth is used, it's all being consumed, generating more value. And our networks are more intelligent. You know, a software-defined network has the intelligence when passing traffic. If we do suffer a brownout over that network, an application starts to suffer, the automated SD-WAN technology will move that service to a different path and maintain user performance and application performance over the network, ultimately delivering more value for our wide area networks. And these are just some of the features and benefits of SD-WAN. I'm not going to go through each and every one of these, but fundamentally it gives us more options from a bandwidth perspective. We have a centralized management rather than point-of-touch management for each individual device. We're able to aggregate bandwidth and use the bandwidth that we've got. We've got traffic steering, brownout detection, performance remediation over that network. An SD-WAN is fundamentally application aware. We can build policies into those applications rather than static configurations around QoS. And natively, these solutions are you know, natively provide monitoring and reporting out of the box to monitor links, to monitor application performance, and to monitor user performance. Now, these are some, I just wanted to talk through a few typical deployment methods, which, you know, if you've done your own research, you'll be aware of. So a fully managed service, you know, is typically aimed at the larger enterprise market, whereby, you know, if we're talking, you know, this might be, you know, a lot of the SD-WAN vendors and service providers out there are trying to attack the enterprise market, and a fully managed service in that environment does work well, you know, for your Unilevers and so on and so forth. But fundamentally, you're buying into an SD-WAN, which is then controlled by someone else, which is not necessarily the point of SD-WAN. We also have a DIY solution whereby, you know, if you've got an in-house team that's fully skilled on buying the right network connectivity and sourcing the right SD-WAN solution, you know, you can do it yourself. But the point that I just wanted to pick up on was this, a co-managed service, which isn't necessarily talked about in the market, but is designed to give you the speed and agility and control of your own internet working environment, but also with the support in the background of a network specialist that can provide escalations and support when things potentially get a little bit more complex. And then from a deployment perspective, we've got SD Edge, which is whereby we're delivering either appliances or software appliances to the edge of the network. So in the data center, at head office, in the branch, and delivering an overlay technology over that network connectivity. Or we have software-defined WAN as a service, which is typically aimed at larger global organizations that have multiple sites over different continents. And that's where you know, you tie yourself into or make use of the software-defined wide area network vendors' global backbone. And here are just some market facts. The reason I wanted to show you this is just to validate validate the market and where it's heading. A lot of you will have seen these, but I'm going to read through them all. But 30% of businesses will be using SD-WAN by the end of 2019, compared with 1% in 2015. Okay, that's significant. And this is market forecasting by Gartner. And then the other one that I just wanted to pick up on is by 2023, more than 90% of businesses and wide area network new deployments, they're not going to be based on router-based technology. They are going to be based on software-defined technology. And again, this is just validating the market and demonstrating where things are heading when you decide to look at your wide area network. Okay, I just wanted to talk through a few common misconceptions around SD-WAN. So the first one, bit controversial, is that SD-WAN will save you money. Okay, so this is what you'll hear in the market more than any other message from the vendors, and not necessarily from service providers, but certainly from the vendors, which, yes, if you have a global enterprise network, and that is currently a fully managed MPLS network on separate continents, that in itself will be hugely expensive, enormously expensive. And move into an environment where you have software-defined overlay over that, and the underlying connectivity is local internet breakout, 100% you will save money. However, for organizations in the UK, moving from MPLS to internet-based technologies actually shouldn't save you any money. There is no difference in cost. Okay. However, what SD-WAN does do is delivers 100% more value. And that's what it's designed to do. It's about overcoming the existing challenges that you have with a static, fully managed MPLS network. A lot of SD-WAN vendors out there talk about this idea that the underlying connectivity is irrelevant. Stick two broadband circuits in, put our SD-WAN box on the end of it, unicorns dancing everywhere, and all of a sudden your application will be working perfectly, which is not the case, obviously. We still need the right levels of bandwidth. We still need the underlying SLAs, and getting that underlying connectivity right in conjunction with the software-defined overlay is hugely still important. I think one of the challenges for IT buyers is that there's so much market noise out there around SD-WAN solutions that they all kind of, SD-WAN, different vendors, they all kind of do the same thing. At present, there are over 50 SD-WAN variants in the market. But as I'll talk to you about later on in the presentation, there is no one size fits all. They all have individual benefits, different commercial models, technical features, unique selling points, as well as their own drawbacks and so forth, and limitations. So I think it's the key thing is to understand, do the research and understand what do we need as a business, and how, and therefore what is the right SD-WAN solution for our business. And then again, as I touched on earlier, you must either buy a fully managed SD-WAN service or do it yourself. It's not necessarily the case. There are providers like us out there that can provide a co-managed solution, which is aimed at giving the enterprise market the best of both worlds. Okay, and here are some considerations when choosing your SD-WAN. So this is the 2018 Gartner Magic Quadrant for WAN Edge infrastructure for SD-WAN. So you have your leaders in the top right-hand quadrant, Silver Peak, Cisco, and VMware. And rightly so, these have got the biggest market share, probably the most mature products and services out there, and deliver great solutions. However, that's not to say discount, the challenges and the niche players. There are some fantastic SD-WAN providers out there with, unique propositions. And by no means, this doesn't actually show all providers out there. So really, when you're looking at your wide area network, it's about, understanding from your perspective, doing the research on what's our application profile, what applications have we got running over our network? Where are our offices? Are they all based in the UK? Are they global? How can we best use SD-WAN? What type of user characteristics have we got? Are they all office-based? Do we have a lot of remote workers? What type of services are we consuming? Are we doing a lot of public cloud? Or are we planning on moving to public cloud? Okay, so some software-defined vendors are way more advanced than others when it comes to the adoption of public cloud. Commercial requirements. Are you a CapEx type business or do you prefer OpEx? Some SD-WAN variants are either strictly one or the other. What operational management capabilities do you need as a business? What kind of in-house resources have you got? What support requirements do you need? And what underlying connectivity and transport is required from your perspective, to deliver the right SLAs? All these things, combine to help you understand what's right for your business. But unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, there is no one-size-fits-all vendor. It's about understanding what you need. Okay, and just to summarize, from an SD-WAN perspective, it's there, it delivers, it's ultimately designed to deliver more value into your wide area network investment. It is a replacement for traditional networks, and as we saw from the market facts, it isn't going anywhere. It's designed to deliver high performance wide area networks. And from your perspective and from ours as well, we're here to fundamentally cut through the market noise, the bull as it were, to do our research, to understand that they are all different, to analyze the requirements and to help you as IT buyers and to help yourselves understand, what is the right solution for our business. And then just a few bits on Principal Networks here in partnership with Servium, where, as I mentioned earlier, we're vendor agnostic SD-WAN specialists aimed at providing objective and unbiased advice. Okay, not necessarily supporting any one particular solution over the other. We deliver our advice based on fact, which is around our application and network discovery process, and ultimately it's designed to give our customers the best value for their wide area network investments. Any questions?
Great. Thanks for that, Russ. I'll open the floor now to everyone. You should be able to click on a sort of QA panel and at the bottom of your screen and ask questions. And if you're feeling a little bit shy, then by all means you can email questions to me after the webinar. So if you've got any questions, please go into the QA panel at the bottom and ask them. I've got one here, Russ, from John. We talked about sort of vendor agnostic approach and so on. From an SD-WAN point of view, could you have multiple vendors in your implementation?
You could. You wouldn't usually. Typically, that's not it's not necessarily what you'd do. The whole point around SD-WAN is delivering an end-to-end policy-based network. So if you happen to have two separate vendors in there not talking the same language, then fundamentally that's not going to deliver the right value. You could have an environment where you've still got Cisco routers or Huawei routers or whatever type of Meraki routers or whatever doing the underlying routing, but then you can also deliver SD-WAN technology over the top of that to create a software-defined overlay. That's kind of the only scenario where you'd have two separate vendors in the mix.
Okay. Another question here from Adrian. How does the SD-WAN cope when you get certain links with huge latency combined with a regional response, like in this case the Caribbean?
Wow.
Thanks, Adrian.
Yeah, thanks for that. So latency, latencies are, we can't get over the problem of, application traffic runs at the speed of light. It has to travel distance. You're always going to have latency, if you're in the Caribbean or if you're in the Far East. Depending on the application traffic profile, there are SD-WAN vendors. Silver Peak comes from a background of WAN optimization. But it all depends on the application traffic profile as to whether, as part of the SD-WAN solution, we can also optimize traffic, caching, performance optimization of that network to send, key changes rather than full document files. But again, that's all down to the application traffic. There's nothing really that's going to speed up the latency of that network other other than the solutions again like Silver Peak that have like WAN optimization inbuilt. That's the only solution really.
Okay, I hope that's answered. Just from the point of view here from Paul, question around sort of control. What sort of control do I have around the management, and from a training point of view, how easy is it for me and my team to learn about that sort of management capability, if you like? So
learn about the capability in terms of
sort of managing the SD-WAN environment. I think it's targeted up there, Russ.
Okay, cool. So again, all these different SD-WAN vendors have different GUIs. Some are much more difficult to manage than others. Take Meraki, for example, which probably has the best user interface, the most intuitive user interface out there. Would be very easy for any IT manager and IT team to understand how to manage basic functions of that software-defined network. However, in its brilliance from a GUI perspective, Meraki also has a large amount of limitations, isn't the most flexible out there in the market, and does suffer from not having a few of the other technical benefits of other services. Then you take something like a Viptela solution, which probably is the most complex, but actually is the most flexible. Again, it would be more difficult in terms of understanding the management plane. However, these are all designed to make it easier for you to manage your wide area networks. So in terms of training and understanding how you manage those environments, that's all down to us as the provider, the vendor themselves, providing the customer and the clients with training on how to make clause policy changes, application profile changes, with a click of a button. And again, the whole point of SD-WAN is that under the hood, these SD-WAN solutions are doing fairly complex tasks, but the point is that SD-WAN automates a lot of those tasks, so that if you want to make a clause policy change, you don't need to manually configure it. You can now just create some values, click a button, and off you go and create your different clause policy changes.
And I suppose that's where we can work collaboratively with with the customers on helping them and educating them on how to do that.
Yeah, again, so you take the DIY approach, and it's kind of on you, and you do, obviously you can get help from the vendors in terms of understanding how to manage those environments. Obviously, you take a fully managed service, and that's taken out of your hands. From our perspective, the co-managed service is all about empowering the customer, the user, to have the speed, to have the control, so that you can make the changes. So you don't necessarily need to rely on, I want to make a simple change, I have to go to my service provider. It's about empowering the user and those teams within those environments to make those changes. But as I said, things in certain scenarios do get more complex, and that's what we're there for. Okay, that's great. There isn't any more questions for now, Russ, so thanks for addressing those. So if you do have any further questions, then there's my email address. So I think really that sort of concludes the session today. For anyone who's interested, then ourselves with Principal Networks are going to provide what Russ describes as an application and network discovery process. This is some consultancy, some advice, a couple of half days, typically 2 sort of half days, isn't it, Russ, where it'll help you sort of decide what is the best solution. So for anyone who's interested in that, then by all means, get in touch with me or your account manager. So we're going to provide that as a free of charge sort of value add service where we'll come in and engage on this sort of a network discovery process. So please reach out if that's something of interest, because I think we can then demonstrate some great value add there. So everyone, thank you very much for taking the time out today. Hopefully you found that useful. There will be a recording of this session, so if you'd like to share this with your colleagues or you came in a little bit late, then I will be providing a recording of this.
Also, we'll be doing a survey, so we really value the feedback as customers on how you found the event today, any other suggestions for events in the future. Then there'll be details of that survey as well on an email I'll do later on today. So thanks very much for taking the time to join us on INOOT. For reference, the next one is on Friday the 1st of February, which is all around device as a service. So keep your eye out for details on that on our webpage. So thanks everyone for taking the time, and hopefully enjoyed that, and have a good Friday.